everyone. My name's Saki, and joined to me today is our producer. You know what I mean? Is the Squid. Say hi, Squiddy. Say hi.
Hi, Squiddy.
Hi, Squiddy. Yes, we named you Squiddy. Remember?
Yes, I do remember, and the fans. I'm still holding out a sliver of hope. So if Twitter accounts that I'd never even heard of can retweet an article that I wrote about why there should be a Canadian football team in the Maritimes, I'm counting them to come through to help bring about the new generation of the Squid. Help me out with the name, folks. I implore of thee.
Okay. Awesome. Again, every time you surprise me with stuff, and I can't even come up with something smart to say. Anywho.
I'm a producer. It's what I do.
Yes, I can tell. So anywho, welcome to another Tuesday night of a wonderful night of craziness. Unfortunately, we don't have the old man here, but knowing him, he'll probably try to come in and break my pen like he did the last episode. Anywho, we are doing something special today. This episode's pretty special because in the recent or past weekend, we've actually had two deaths that have impacted the sports world greatly. We've had the death of the greatest boxer alive, Muhammad Ali. And we've actually just recently heard about yesterday or so that UFC fighter Kimbo Slice, I hope I got that right, has also passed away. In regards to that, we are actually remembering those two athletes, specifically Muhammad Ali. I've actually gotten set up, if you saw my tweet, on a sneak peek of our foundation drawing, where I'll be drawing Muhammad Ali, as you can see on the stream. I already have my reference photo and my foundation drawing. So later on in the show, we'll actually have a time of silence before we go into commercial break. And yeah, so right now I'm actually drawing him. I've actually did the base drawing like I told you in my tweet. He's actually training in the gym. That's what I'm hoping for. So it's actually my first time doing a human live drawing, so that's going to be fun. But as we are drawing and hanging out, right, Squiddy? We're also, by the way, presented by, I hope I get this right, the W2M Network. It's actually one of our newest additions on the show, so thank you guys again for allowing us to be part of it. They are actually also streaming us live on their network too, so if you don't find us here, you can find us over there. And the first topic on tonight's wonderful itinerary, I got it.
Hercules.
We are actually going to discuss that horrible loss of Cleveland to the Golden State Warriors on Sunday. They lost 77-110, unfortunately. And I actually want to discuss how bad this means for Cleveland and to LeBron. And I want to start off with that this is already the second game in the NBA Finals series. And we've already seen the Golden State Warriors prove themselves time and time again this whole season that they are a force to be reckoned with and are not wanting to give up that 73 or 74 win streak, I believe, Eric. You know how I am with numbers.
73 wins in the regular season, and as a side note, with that win, they tied those same 95-96 Bulls for most combined wins in a season, as the 72-win Bulls, who won a championship, won a total of 87 games. That was Golden State's 87th of the season.
So, as Eric pointed out, these guys are a force to be reckoned with. However, so is Cleveland at a certain stance, which is something that I think we have to remember as we're looking at this series, and is actually a huge factor when we're analyzing what happened on Sunday's game. The amount of points that Cleveland lost, I'm sorry, is a bit embarrassing. Am I not right, Eric?
Well, you're beyond right. And this, I mentioned before, even going back to the Western Conference Finals, well, Golden State, and I mentioned this before, they mentioned it on TNT where Charles Barkley, hero ball. You basically, your best players, they have the ball, they take the shot. The thing is, it works for them because they set up and go on massive runs. And we're not just talking 10-0, 12-0. No, we're talking 21-4, 25, 30. That's what got them past Oklahoma City in that comeback. And that's really what blew Game 2 open, because you look at the second quarter, at the start of the second quarter, Cleveland had a lead. Next thing you know, you're going into halftime and you're going into the third quarter. All of a sudden, the Warriors are up by 30. That's what happens. If it's not Klay Thompson, if it's not Steph Curry, it's Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, somebody. And even now, this series, their bench players are getting tremendous contributions, 30, 40 points. Cleveland, unfortunately, while they have a great starting five, and they've proven that when pressed into a situation like last year's finals, they have guys like Matthew Dellavedova who could step up big. They've shrunk. They've disappeared. Now what?
You are actually right about the Hero Ball. I do see that a lot. And I was reading an article, I think it was Sports Nation, if I'm not mistaken, but I was reading that Steph Curry and the Golden State team, they know who their players are. Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned it time and time again that while they have this kind of like cocky rock star attitude, they get the job done. They get together and they play as a team. Now, for LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't think I've seen them really play as a team in the whole of a season. Once or twice here and there, but not as a full team. And the thing is that at this point, LeBron is between stuck in a rock and a hard place. He has a team that he can't fully have a good chemistry with them. And I think that is something that, with him trying to play the hero ball, because again, he is the star player of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Is there any argument with that? Any argument?
Go way beyond star player, coach, offensive coordinator, general manager, you name it, you can probably link it to him.
Well, there's that, and that's chemistry with his team. I can understand a little bit why these players probably are not connecting with LeBron as they should be. Steph Curry and the Golden State, they've made that connection. They know what they're going for. In fact, I was laughing so much at all the tweets after the game of Steph Curry on the bench just cheering their teammates on, and seeing him on the bench actually cheering his teammates on, and actually seeing him really work on supporting his team instead of supporting his persona on the court is something that I feel is a huge factor when they're going against the Cleveland Cavaliers and how they're just beating them in this insane amount of points. I saw this game, I'm like, I cannot believe that these two teams, as good as the players that they have on these teams are, this is the type of game I'm seeing. It's like the Golden State Warriors are blowing the Cavaliers out of the ballpark.
Well, really they are, and this is why I'm very thankful that the Copa America Centenario was on, because it's bad enough that I had to see one unbelievable crumble in that tournament. But with a case like this, Steph Curry tried to be the quiet general. And that's okay to go ahead and lead by example, let your game speak for you. But if you're the face of the team and you're one of the faces of the league, you have to actually verbalize, show that body language, and be demonstrative towards your teammates. And I think that finally resonated with him in the fact that you're seeing more and more extroverted, that outward expression of him cheering and supporting his teammates. They feed from that. Because I had mentioned in past episodes how there was dissension in the ranks where, while everything was working on the court, behind the scenes was a little bit iffy, with Steph Curry being the guy winning the MVPs and hardly anybody else really be talked about. Now that he's willing to, at the very least, share the spotlight with them, give them credit, and let them show out and cheer them on, that's feeding back, and growing exponentially. And when it does, well, combine that with the talent, and you get games like Game 2.
Very, very, very true. So, one thing I took away, actually, two things I took away from this entire game was the loss that the Cleveland Cavaliers had in points. And
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry just making the being on the bench seem even fun than it was before. I
Mm-hmm.
I saw so many memes of him like raining down the threes, him like just going crazy, and he's like, I can't believe it on the bench. Um, and I think that that is something that also fans love to see from the Golden State Warriors, both fans of the team and fans of other teams that are watching the finals. And seeing that kind of like having fun and not sportsman like conduct, because I mean it's just having fun and being a goofball, but
Oh yeah.
showing that support for your team and having fun with the game. I think that we really don't see a lot of enthusiasm or a lot of funniness or a lot of goofiness that pretty much are related to sports when you're having a good time and a fun time. Mostly when you have those moments, they're like in baseball, for example, because in baseball, it's such a having a rare occurrence or a rare something happen inside the game for a player is so rare that that's where everybody becomes like kids and starts goofing off or starts having
Mm-hmm.
fun. You don't really see that playfulness in like in the NFL, not even in the NBA. I mean, everybody's beating up each other up in the NHL. So seeing those like moments is actually pretty fun moment, at least for me as a fan. So I wanted to see where you got from this last game here. I want to see what you took out of this last game.
Well, I took out of it, and this is widely popular opinion, although kind of bad. This is the team that LeBron built. This is the team that he looked at last year and he thought he could win with. Lo and behold, 2 games in, that's not happening. Can it be turned around in Cleveland? Who's to say? But seeing this, the reason why, and I will admit begrudgingly, I'm a bit of a fan. If I get my Xbox and I pop in NBA 2K, the latest one would be 2K16, this is the kind of game that I would want to play. Up and down, rain and threes, putting it in your face, this like that, having fun, talking smack, whatever, because that's what it really should be about. And you mentioned a lot of examples of why you don't see it. Jose Bautista's bat flip in the playoffs last year. He just hit a home run in the playoffs to send his team on to get them to advance. I would do the same thing. Everybody crush him for it. Cam Newton, after he has his first down celebrations and celebrating for touchdowns. If I'm in that situation, I would do the same thing. Everybody puts him down for it. The fact that fans are actually embracing this instead of just looking at it as a negative, I'm thankful of that attitude, because the more you see it, the less people are being put down for it, the more you will see. And the more that these athletes can go ahead, have fun, show that they're having fun, the better that they're going to play. I mean, you see these moments, wild celebrations, even in the NHL after goals and after winning the Stanley Cup. You just won the Stanley Cup. If I'm there, I'm right at the pile, trying not to accidentally stab anybody with my skates. So I get it. I know what I would do in these situations. That's why when I see it, I'm like, let them have fun. It shouldn't entirely be a business. So Game 3 is really going to be telling on both sides. Can Golden State keep this momentum? If they play like they're having fun, they're most likely going to sweep the series. If LeBron can find some sort of magic elixir with this team and try to look over really, you could argue, with some mistakes about who's playing, who's there, who's not, this could potentially turn it around. But this is more pivotal than ever.
Now, I believe it was, I'm not sure if it was the last episode or not of our show, but I believe I mentioned to you and Steven that for the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, I see a series, or rather I saw a series that was going to be very close in points and in fact be a very tough series to beat.
Mm-hmm.
It would really go through the whole 7 games. Now, looking at the past performance of the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors these past 2 games, I may have to change that again. I may have to say that it may not be so hard as I was thinking it to be. So I want to see if your prediction changed or not for that.
Dramatically. I had Cleveland winning. I had them winning in 6. I actually put out a prediction on Twitter that the Cavaliers would be up 2-0, and very glad that I didn't have to make a bet with that one, because while I'm in a good mood, I'm not in a yodeling mood tonight. But I did not yet get me warmed up. Like I said, that could come later, depending on how things go. But seeing this, it wouldn't surprise me if Golden State went there and swept. And if they did, then you really have to consider them in the upper echelon of greatest teams of all time. They know what's going on for their legacy, and they played like it.
Very, very true. I think this is going to be one of those years where Cleveland's not going to win that championship. I mean, who knows? It could be that they do. It could be that they don't. But at the rate that we're seeing, if they don't straighten up their act as a team and stop being the hero ball, because at this point, hero ball is not going to work for them. It's working for Steph Curry. It ain't working for LeBron James and his team. I think they need to think of a really better strategy than that, or they can say goodbye to that championship this year again. So that's my take on it, and that's Squiddy's take on us. Remember to follow us and the show at SCU and Saki, as well as check out the newest, I guess, promoter or network that is sponsoring us, W2M Network. Be sure to check them out. And now the next thing that I want to talk about is the recent passing of Muhammad Ali. I am doing this drawing in honor of him because I thought, hey, why not do a drawing specifically of him and show that we, the SCU and Saki crew, do remember one of the greatest athletes and actually greatest pioneers for boxing as a whole, how we feel about him and his passing. So I want to ask you, Eric, number one, do you know anything else about Muhammad Ali than just his name? And number two, do you have any recollections of him? I'm not saying you're old. We all know who the old man is. We all know who the old man is. But I'm saying that in your most, in your recent years or whatever, when you check up on him or you look them up, did you ever see something that caught your attention from him and made you think, wow, this is a great athlete here?
First of all, very nice save on that one. Yeah, I already had an incident like that, which I'll get into later on tonight, but in seeing him, and I think back to a little bit because around the time that I was getting into sports, 9, 10 years old, that was the Olympics in Atlanta. And that was highlighted with Muhammad Ali famously, and just kind of a sad to watch Warren State from his Parkinson's lighting the torch. And back then, I really didn't see it and I didn't understand it. But as I've gotten older, not just seeing that moment, which helped me understand a lot more, but just the more I've seen looking back on his life, not just the fights, not just the going back and forth in moments with Howard Cosell on Wide World of Sports, which, if you get a chance to see any of those interviews, find them on YouTube. They're hilarious. They're great to watch. And that's really a great era, not just with athletes, with celebrity athletes, but reporters covering and interviewing, and that's part to me over the past generation or so has become lost, but also more and more of what he stood for. And since his passing, and in mentioning all the tributes, they see what he did as far as conscientiously objecting with the war in Vietnam, which some call him a draft dodger. No, he didn't run to Canada. He stayed here and said,
I'm not doing it.
no, I'm not. You, as a country, aren't treating me this way. He actually said, I whooped the world for America, whereas a young 18-year-old in the Olympics in Rome in 1960, he did all these and that great things for this country, so proud when he heard the national anthem, yet he goes to a place to eat in his hometown of Louisville downtown, they don't serve him. So the seed started being planted then. What am I doing and what am I fighting for? And you want me to go over and quite possibly die, and I'm not getting the same treatment as everybody else? No, I refuse to do that. Plus, he held strong to his religious beliefs of pacifism, and I'm thinking, that's a guy that I could respect. And beating George Foreman and the Rumble in the Jungle and beating Sonny Liston, the baddest dude at the planet at the time, when he wasn't given a chance. I mean, he just knew what he was, and the more he talked, the more he drove himself to back it up. He even said early on, I fought 108 amateur fights, I fought 22 professional fights, and I'm pretty as a girl. You see these moments, and it's hilarious. And the fact that he had just this attitude about himself, but it was never anything so wrong because he wrote checks he knew he could cash. Mm-hmm. And seeing all the fights and everything, and I'm thinking, that's how athletes should be, both in their chosen sport and out of it. He used his power to really help change the world. That's why he was the greatest.
What is interesting is that you brought up what happened with him and the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, even to this day, became and were against the Vietnam War. And not only Muhammad Ali was against it, so was Martin Luther King, mm-hmm. and so was many other civil rights activists that mm-hmm. were against this war. Needless to say, at this time, Muhammad Ali, we also have to remember that he had just converted to the Nation of Islam. He converted mm-hmm. to the religion. Mm-hmm. And that had strongly affected also his belief in converting to pacifism and mm-hmm. in converting into this anti-war ideal. My bad. I'm trying to remember the name of this movie, but it was a very good movie, and I think you may have seen it, Eric. But it was this movie where it actually talks about the Supreme Court process of whether or not they should allow Muhammad Ali to stay in jail or to say it's against the Constitution. I can't remember the movie at the moment, but what I like about this movie...
It's ringing a couple of bells, yes.
You may have seen it. I know you may have seen it. I cannot remember it. But this movie really shows how he is going... Not he, because it really you only get to hear him mentioned by name. Mm-hmm. But it's the process and the legal process and the legal understanding behind it. And we have to remember that I believe it was after, I want to say World War II, maybe? This was during the McCarthy era. Mm-hmm. And that wonderful...
So you're talking the 50s.
Yes. We just came out of a war against communism. And this was a world war on top of that. And America has a strong belief that war is another way of showing your American pride. Like, if you serve in the war, it shows American pride. Mm-hmm. And what's really unfortunate is that that's not how you show your American pride, even though it's a great honor and a great service that mm-hmm. our countrymen are doing. But at that time, especially for the Vietnam War, many of our soldiers that had come home were actually looked and frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people tend to forget. And we're forgetting when we remember Muhammad Ali saying, "No, I don't want to fight." He understood that this war was not a right war. He was one of the very few people that were, or rather, one of the very few starters that were believing that this was a bad war, that this was not a war we should have put ourselves in. And that's just politically, and what he believed in, political beliefs, and the political life he led. I was reading on top of that he became an activist during his boxing career, which is something that is another thing that I admire him about. This athlete who has brought championships for the Olympics, who fought for America in the sports world, who really gave America a good what's the word I'm looking for? A good appearance in the sports world as a boxing champion, right? Who was young and fun, and that the people loved him. And my grandmother was telling me that everybody, even the smallest village that had no TV, nothing, knew of Muhammad Ali. And that is something that I think has made his passing so sad and so heartfelt, because we all knew him. We all knew the athlete and the type of guy he was. We all knew that he brought the sports world something that has changed and altered its course of history, has made a mark in time because of this just one guy and of how he took each fight. And these quotes that I read about him, my favorite is float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's my favorite one, even though it's the most common one that people will remember right off the bat.
I'm so bad, I make medicine sick.
Exactly. You see, that type of just pure impact on the sports world itself is what I believe makes these great athletes. Unfortunately, I don't know much about Kimbo Slice, but I'm sure he made an impact himself just from the amount of tweets that I read and the amount of news that came out of his death. Of course, Muhammad Ali died before him. And it's not just sports athletes themselves that when they pass away and people are like, whoa, this guy passed away. One of the greatest fighters have passed away. It's also these pop culture references. Like, for example, Prince. Everybody literally cried for Prince. And everybody literally cried for Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah. It's, needless to say, it was a very sad household both days, which Michael Jackson, it actually happened a couple of days after my birthday. And with Prince, my mom cried, my sister cried. I was sad because I even remember one of the first albums I ever had was one of Prince's way back in the day when I was just a kid, and I was just like, he's gone. And then on top of that, with the whole Dave Chappelle sketch with Charlie Murphy, which, another thing, go on the internet, that is just hilarious. And you read a story about that and how Prince took that sketch, that makes it even funnier and even more beloved. And you look at all these things, I look back and I have my memories. Even with Kimbo Slice, his first fight on CBS, that was one of the first house parties that I'd had. I mean, I had one before that didn't go well, but that was one of my trend of epic ones, which it's a story for another day, trust me. But I see moments like that, and with Kimbo Slice coming up from nothing, being a bouncer, street fighter, and then making it mainstream with UFC and eventually, I believe, Strikeforce, and seeing his tragic end, it's kind of sad because, and I've always felt like this, sports is one of the main parallels and sets of ideals that combine both what life is, ups, downs, failures, comebacks, miracles, upsets, whatever, and what life should be. Because it's there. It's not planned. It's not scripted outside of the XFL. It just is. Everybody can be mentioned. Everybody gets a shot. And you don't see that with other aspects of life in today's society. And circling this around to Muhammad Ali, where else would you have a ceremony that brings all faiths together? And even in the political realm where we're at now, you have someone like Senator Orrin Hatch and former President Bill Clinton, not only both in attendance, but having major roles. Clinton with his speech, and Senator Hatch representing the Mormon faith with the different clerics and priests presiding over the ceremony. How else does that happen? That happens through sports. That's the one thing to where parents, children, urban legends, lore, that's what it comes down to. So when people talk about me, why I'm into sports and why I don't watch the news or things like that, it's like, with sports, it is what it is. Pay attention for a day, a week, a year. The legends, the icons, the teams, the greatness, the tragedies, this and that, and you see that's more life than life itself.
Very, very true. That was actually very beautiful. I think that we can all say that we have all, even the later generations, knew about Muhammad Ali and knew the impact he made. And our hearts at the SCU and Saki crew give our hearts out to the family of Muhammad Ali, and we wish you guys the best. And we hope that with this drawing, or as little as it may be, we hope that it shows our honor for one of the greatest fighters and athletes in the world. And we also hope that he can rest in peace and know that with our hearts and with our memories of him, that he knows that his fight, whatever fights he ever made in this life, are won, and he won them all. And that right now he's in where he is, wherever that may be. And sorry, I just lost my train of thought because
That's okay. There was something that I saw on here. It's hilarious and awful at the same time, and I'm thinking this is great, but too soon.
Right. So we hope that wherever he may be, may his soul rest in peace, and we hope that he enjoys the new ring up there. So with that being said, it's still not yet for our commercial break. But I do want to give a moment of silence for Muhammad Ali and for Kimbo Slice as well, and for Prince too, even though it's a little late for that one, it still counts.
He gets a second one.
He gets a second one. So a few moments of silence, and then we will probably go into commercial break. Alrighty, so with that being done and said, we are actually going to go ahead on to commercial break. We also want to thank again, hopefully this doesn't play when I do this. I had to open it. We do want to give thanks and shout outs to, no, don't tell me that this is not going to work. I hope this works. I really do hope this works. Out of everything that I did, I do hope this works. Okay, perfect. Yes, no, maybe, yes. Come on. You know you want to. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Okay, perfect. It does work. Yay! We do want to give out.
You are lucky.
I know I'm lucky. I don't know how I'm lucky. Like, I'm using too much of my luck lately. Anywho, we do want to give a shout out to a couple of people. My first shout is Love Gaming Videos. I'm so sorry if I mess it up. I know that this is this one guy. He did check up on me, and I gave him like a subscribe and stuff. I'm so sorry that I don't remember what it is, and I actually tried to look at it too. I was like, but anywho, shout outs to the Real Talk Miami crew. Thanks again for sending us commercials. The Tyler Spence Show. Thank you again for sending out commercials. The Ricardo Report, Dylan Show, which, by the way, SCU is co-hosting that show too. So more of the old man himself. I'm actually pretty looking forward to that because I love that voice of his. And let's see what else. And I know we had a
Don't
couple
let
of
Alex
others.
Atia Cheese figure you say that.
I know, right? Oh my god, there's like two senpais there that I want to go after. But anywho,
Oh God, not again.
anywho, so we're gonna go into commercial break, and I'm gonna keep drawing, but listening to the commercials made by yours truly, and then we'll go back and we're actually gonna talk about the life of our Squiddy. So stay tuned, guys. Alrighty, welcome back, guys, from our commercial break. I'm Saki, and joined by me again tonight is our producer, the Squid, hashtag negotiator himself, Eric Watkins. And also, we are being promoted by, or hosted by at the same time, by YouTube and the W2M network. Thank you guys again for allowing us to be part of your crew. We really appreciate it. So, coming back from commercial, I was gonna say, I didn't understand, Eric, what you meant by the life of the squid. So I'm actually going to turn the table or turn the floor to him as he explains what he meant by that, because I didn't know he had a life.
Gonna let that one go by. Gently and gracefully into the night. Again, it's another one of how you're lucky. But I've had some interesting moments. Not just today, where as I'm getting ready to leave work, my car decides to randomly not start. Thankfully, I had AAA, and the guy that they sent out, awesome guy, former, actually, high school quarterback, was really good until, unfortunately, he had a very bad knee injury, and he knows people who played along or played against Emmitt Smith back in high school, so kind of awesome sharing stories for him, and went totally above and beyond to save me $140 and help me get set up to get a new battery for free. Or getting my pizza tonight and randomly the nice lady at the window decides to give me a coupon for $6. This goes a bit before that. So, Saki, I ask, you've seen what I look like. You know how old I am.
I want to say 30.
Close enough.
Okay.
It will be in about 16 days.
Okay. Oh, hey! Happy birthday!
Don't celebrate yet. The insanity has yet to begin on that.
You know that they say, well, this is for women, but they say that women have the best time of their lives in their 30s.
I could definitely agree with that for women, which it's a whole conversation in statistics, but more of an opportunity where I can work blue and explain that in depth, gladly. But for tonight, I shall set that aside. Well, there was a very interesting incident, actually a couple of incidents that I run into and I'm thinking, does anybody really does this happen to anyone else? And I mentioned that being how old I am and how I look at everything, you would have thought upon first blush, seeing what I look like, that you would have been fairly close in guessing age, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, I happened to visit this one place a few days ago on my way home from work. I had a long day, I'm in a bad mood, I'm searching for a particular drink, and there happens to be this pretty cool drive-through liquor store. So, I talked to the guy what I want. I'd ask him a couple of questions, and
You touched something.
What?
You touched something in your Skype, and then a buzzing noise happened.
I didn't touch anything.
You probably just didn't know. Continue.
Anyway. So many jokes I could have made on that one.
And then you say that you're faster than Steven.
Oh no, it's not necessarily that I'm faster. Like I said, I can't work blue tonight, so...
Continue with the life of the squid.
Anyways, so I hand the guy my ID as he goes, and he actually got me a special on drinks. He's like, dude, I thought you were older than that. Look at you. I thought you were in your 30s. I was like...
I'm getting there.
Okay, I'm about to be 30, but okay, because that's the first time that's happened. Normally people usually think I'm younger or this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, does that happen to anybody else?
I've actually gotten by the way, before I continue on this, I don't know how to. I'm at a loss at how I'm going to draw this, like color this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I'm just gonna do pencil sketches, but I have to look up on how to really do the technique, which is really fast. I can do that, but I'm struggling here, man. I mean, I got the outline, which is fine, but I really don't. Anyways, people have told me that I've looked older than what my age is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's 3 years older. But that's because of just the way that I talk and just the way that I present myself and the manner I present myself to someone. I know in high school, a lot of times I would get confused with being a senior. In my senior year, though, I think people thought I was younger, just more mature, which was funny because, well, BTW, everybody! Saki graduated! Yeah! I graduated last Friday, June 3rd, and now I can say, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Those 4 years were the roughest of my life. And for anybody who is in high school right now and being told that high school is the greatest time of your life, I am so sorry.
No.
It couldn't be more wrong.
May I explain a little bit about that? First of all, the old man and I actually had a surprise for you, but
really?
since he's not here to defend himself, I'm gonna blow him in a little bit. Yes, we were going to immediately start the show by congratulating you on the big moment.
Oh my gosh!
He decided not to be here, so that's that.
I'm going to murder him then. Cannot believe this. You know what's so funny, Eric, is that I found our old messages when we were first in MSL.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just, because I'm the corniest person you're ever going to know, where I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, look at how you were back then. And I found I found the message of when MSL shut down. I found that message. I actually took screenshots, which was so, again, I'm the corniest person.
I was going to disagree with you until you mentioned the screenshots, and I'm like, okay, no, she takes that title.
And then I found the message because I think it was in the last episode, or the episode before that, where he's like, I remember how Saki, she really became my best friend or something like that, after I took school, whatever. And I found the message where he's like, well, Stephanie, I'm glad to know you in this wonderful time. I hope you have a nice life. I'm like, no, bitch! I'm here! I'm here to be, like, partner for life in business and stuff. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm just reading them. And he's like, what is taking you so long? Because I had to send him his password. I had to send him his username and password for Blog Talk Radio. And I'm just looking at all these messages. I got as far as like December 6, 2015.
Oh, you did go back a ways.
I did, and I could have gone a little bit back, but it kind of started lagging on me trying to get all those messages back.
Yeah.
And I was just, aw. And to know that he was going to surprise me with that, and now he's not here, and I think he's listening, because I'm going to smack him later on. I know he's at work, but I'm going to smack him later on. And I'm glad, though, that that's what you two were going to do.
Hey, better him than me, and I will say it was his idea, too, because I was like, I didn't necessarily know one way or the other, but when he mentioned it, I was like, yeah, I'll be on board.
Yeah,
and he specifically told me not to tell you, but that, yeah.
Well, I just, like, did my own surprise then. Damn. Okay.
So yeah, Saki graduated and whatnot. Worst 4 years of my life probably ever. I'm so happy to be done with that. I'm so happy to just move on and
this is good, and this is what I have to the audience. If high school is the best 4 years of your life, you are screwed. And I'll tell you right now, those going into high school, and those who are out of high school, and those like me who are a little bit past their 10-year reunions, yeah, high school's gonna suck. It's meant to suck. It's meant to get better after that. Now, granted, don't have many ideas and illusions about college, being beer, pizza, women, this and that. I had those delusions at 17, and look at where I'm at now.
I was just gonna say that. was just gonna say that. Um, so yeah, there was that. What else? So that's the life of the squid, huh?
Well, that, and especially thinking back now, going back to when I watched myself from when I recorded videos going to my first con and back in 2007, boy, was I weird. Now I'm just a different type of weird. But I want to pose a question.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as cursing properly?
Yes.
Okay. Kindly
Okay.
fill me in on some of the details, because I had a conversation like this, and even though I have a math degree, even though math was one of the main things I studied, I always grew up and I spoke properly. I tend to pronounce letters. Even in obscenities, if it ends in an ER, I will pronounce it with an ER. Now, granted, not all the time. There's one, maybe two exceptions, but usually if words are constructed a certain way, that's how I pronounce them. That's how I always pronounce them. That's how I've always talked. So when my mother, of all people, tells me out of the blue, after listening to me for all this time, that I didn't, I'm like, where is this coming from? So I may need you to enlighten me a bit in this situation.
Honestly, the way to curse a lot. By the way, I'm looking up pencil techniques on Photoshop for Photoshop. So I'm sorry if this has become a tutorial for this.
See what I mean?
No, but you know what? It honestly depends where you're from. Like, for example,
Which was so funny because again, I was talking with Steven and you know how he has that freaking New Jersey attitude, man. Sometimes I just want to smack him with the chancleta.
And I always say, if you're going to smack him with one, you have to smack him with two to make it even.
Exactly. So Photoshop. I hope this is not a video because I really don't want to watch a video. I hate watching videos for tutorials. It just makes no sense to me. Anywho,
He has a different way of pronouncing things, as do I. And that's because here in South Florida, we have such a big mixture of Hispanic influence and then with English that sometimes the words become either together or become a combination of I don't know what. But I do know that it all depends in where you're from. Cursing is also, even in Spanish, we have a different forms of way of cursing. I'm not.
Trust me,
I'm
I've
not
ran
going
it.
to give examples. I know Puerto Ricans. We put your mother in there. That's for sure.
Oh, not to mention, I heard, and I mentioned one word, because in all the times I took Spanish, and even at my job, I have to deal with different dialects. I know one word in Puerto Rico means something simple and innocent, whereas if you say that word in Argentina, you're going to get punched in the mouth. And I'm like, okay, that's a pretty wild difference there.
Right. So I honestly, it really depends. As an actual formal way of cursing, I think it comes from where the word originated. So, for example, me Puerto Ricans, when we say something, just like any word, we try to match it to what the natives of Puerto Rico say.
Okay.
Other than that, though, it really just depends on what you're basing it off of. It's relative. Let's just put it that way. It's more relative.
Okay, because I mean, even then, I didn't even know that I had, because I've never really heard myself have any kind of southern drawl. And then when I went to Maryland in high school, everybody looked at me. It's like, wow, you speak proper. And you're all like this and that. And I'm like, one of the first things around my mouth is like, I grew up in Jacksonville around a bunch of white people. Kind of can't help that. I mean, as weird as it sounds, it's the truth. So it's just, I guess, how I learn things. So, anyways, those are kind of things that befuddled the squid in the moments of his life.
why is pencil drawing so hard for me? I am just struggling here, man. I may, because due to time and because I actually really want to get this right, I may have to keep this as a long-term project because I really don't like with what I'm doing right now, and I want to try to figure out the pencil sketch technique because I feel like it's probably the best one that I might go. But while we're waiting for the full hour and 30 minutes to keep to go, I feel like there's been many times where we need to smack SCU sometimes.
Okay.
I don't know.
You know.
You know what? I'm transforming this segment to a therapy session. Dr. Eric Watkins right here is going to be my therapist as I read and as I just reminiscent of the grammar Nazi because he is a grammar Nazi. He's such a grammar Nazi.
And as a legal disclaimer for anyone listening, no, I am not officially practicing psychotherapy without a license because that is illegal. This is all informal and in the guise of jokes, hyperbole, etc., etc., etc.
Yes. Okay.
Anyways.
See, this is why we have the non-lawyer to explain stuff. I only do this because this is in payback for him not coming on. I do like
I can hold off
sometimes.
Hey, plus I can hold off on like Game Show Talk and Copa America Centenario, which for anyone interested, the U.S. is up 3-0, so everybody can kind of shut up. And there's really a phrase that I want to say right now. That's what I would normally say in this situation, but yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. You do you, Eric. You do you. So I was showing
How
him.
may I help you? How are you feeling today?
Okay, well, I'm writing a manuscript. Or he calls it a manuscript. I call it a novel on Wattpad. Check it out. And and I'm just like, hey, read my novel. I think it's good. Number one, he comes at me with I'm a young adult fiction writer, which is sad because I really don't want to be that. I really hate young adult novels. And there is an episode of the SCU and Saki show where I do say that and why I don't like them.
I remember that episode.
You remember that episode, exactly. And he was telling me that I was writing like one, so that didn't help. But then I actually got one that seemed to have caught his interest. It's called Silent Love, which is about this girl. She's born mute, and she ends up falling in love and whatnot, even though she's in an arranged marriage. So it's not really young adult. And then he tells me that I have to start every paragraph if I'm going to do dialogue, like a new paragraph for every dialogue. And I was just like, and who said that? Because I've read books where they have had full paragraphs and they suddenly start in the middle of dialogue. And I'm not going to lie. The way that I write kind of goes back into the classics of like Emily Bronte. I actually follow more of the style of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle when he wrote his Sherlock Holmes series. I follow more that style. And all the time, I've not seen one time where a character, after a description or after something that's like a setting or whatnot, a character just starts a brand new paragraph with them talking. I'm sorry, I haven't. And I'm just like, what?
Well, keep in mind, this is the same guy that mentioned about the whole Twitter fiasco where he was saying that you have to put the period before the handle every single time when there are specific rules about that.
That was another thing. And I honestly don't want him to feel bad because I'm actually doing this in a joking manner because I know that I like to annoy him. That's just who I am. Saki likes to annoy SCU there. I've admitted it.
Hey, better him than me. I'll just say that.
But oh my god! And then oh my gosh, I love doing this with him. He goes Pepsi, and I go Coke because I like Coke. He likes Pepsi. We've actually reached a consensus that vanilla Coke and Diet Coke are one of the best Cokes there is. That I'm grateful for. He likes that, so I'm good for that. And then he starts talking about Colin, and that's when I'm just like, no. Colin, by the way, is the sports journalist, and I tell him that I like Le Batard. He says that Le Batard doesn't speak anything. I, however, believe that Le Batard knows where he's at, knows how to speak stuff, and tell stuff as it is. And don't you come at me, Eric, because I will smack you too.
Okay.
If it's anything bad about Le Batard or anything that is supporting SCU, all right, you will zip your mouth right now.
First of all, you're acting like you had women haven't smacked me before. I can tell you a story back to when I was about 12 when that happened. But anyways, I digress. I might have to break a wall a bit because hate to break it to you, but yeah, Colin Cowherd, the Herd himself, I got to agree with SCU. No. I think he's awesome.
No.
You talk about some of the tells like it is. Have you known about his new show, Speak for Yourself?
No.
I got to record and I got to watch it, but it's pretty much about that. He says what's on his mind, and if you don't like it, well, whatever. Not to mention, who else can give himself a gangster Vegas mob alias like Shecky? Answer me that. Answer me that.
No comment. No comment. No comment. Anywho. I think.
I mean, and honestly, who could make awesome jokes? I mean, yeah, Le Batard has Poppy, and they got the good father-son chemistry and things like that. But who else could pull off joking about their kid possibly pooping in a houseplant? I mean, the way that he delivers that is funny. And yes, if SCU, if you're listening, I have listened to Colin for a long time. Bro, I'm on your side. Y chromosomes sticking together again.
Right. Okay. I really miss SCU. Anywho.
You still got a couple of minutes in your therapy session. If not, that'll be $100, and I'll schedule you for next week.
No, I'm not paying you. As my grandmother said, I'm not paying you $100 for no therapy session when you didn't help me. Anywho.
But that's the whole idea of therapy. When you know you've done something right.
No, I've actually done therapy where I felt pretty good after I came out of it. But anywho.
So have I. You know how the saying goes, you know you've done something right when it's like you haven't done anything at all.
Right. Anywho, with this comes a close to the show. Unfortunately, I could not continue with this. I may have to actually postpone this project because of the style that I'm looking for and that it requires of me. But once I do finish it, I will definitely get it up to you guys so that you guys can check it out on my Twitter page and on the SCU and Saki's Twitter page.
SCU, you got a reprieve about the soccer talk and about the game shows. So yeah.
So be sure to tune to us every Tuesday night. We're hoping to shoot for 9 p.m. Eastern, so definitely check us around that time. Also, check out my channel, Sakura, SAKISAKURA, where I'm doing let's play videos of different horror games and different games for PC and hopefully other consoles in the future. Be sure to check out at Writing Fanatic 2, that's SCU's Twitter account, where you'll find all the stuff he does. Be sure to check out his show, or rather Dylan's show. He's going to be the new co-host over there. Definitely check them out, and check out the other commercials that we have for them, or the other people we have commercials for them. I'm sorry, I was eating a brownie and it was so delicious. And thank you again to the W2M Network for allowing us to be part of your team. We really appreciate it again, and we hope that you'll be proud of us with our craziness. Thank you again. And with that being said, I'm Saki.
I'm the Squid. Wait, hang on. You got all of your plugs in, even though I still have to teach you how to do a proper demonic voice. Thank you very much.
I was struggling. Don't judge me. Continue.
Well, that's why I'm here. I can give you lessons, although your vocal cords may or may not suffer, but that's beside the point. You can follow me at Squid Sportshead, at inside_arena for Inside the Arena, where SCU and I, a few of the gang, discuss arena football. Up and coming show that we've got going for this NFL season at the Football 5. And if you want to see an argument about why the Canadian Football League should be in the Maritimes, check out my article at Last Word on CFL. They posted it. I've retweeted it. If you're a Canadian football fan, definite read. Join in on the discussion. I'm loving it.
Right. Anyways, thank you guys again for another awesome episode of the live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Don't forget to be awesome.